In 1975, Hungarian percussionist George Jinda released the album The Wheel of Love with French jazz rock and Zeuhl musicians, and from it the track Funky Daddy. Apologies for the muddy sound. This has not been reissued. Okay, and we're hearing his percussion in the background, and we are hearing some earth bass, some fuzz phaser earth bass by Didier Batard, who would surface in Blue Rose with some guys I was talking about just the other night from Transit Express. Yeah, two of the guys from Transit Express plus David Rose, who had joined that band toward the end. And he was in, let's see, Cora Megik. Yeah, that put out the album Wakan Tonka in 1971. And he was in Bahamas. Yeah, that was the band that backed pop chanson pop singer Christoph, and put out an album of their own in '76. And he was also in Helden, yeah, for a time. Okay, and that wailing, oozing guitar work is by Pascal Bournet. Not a lot of credits according to Skogs. Oh, he appeared on that 1977 album Letter Diocre by Ome Taxalia a Bucci. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Kind of a spoken word piano lounge double album. It's got a good atmosphere to it. Did you hear that flexiton? Okay, and that was the sax work there of Jeff Seffer, Magma alumni, and he had also been in the Univaria Zect. Yeah, like early Magma, and Perception, and spent some time in Zao and Speed Limit. And in his own right, as a band leader, recorded a few albums in the late 70s under the name Yochk'o Seffer. I named that. For the longest time I thought he was Japanese just because of the first name. Yeah, Yochk'o Seffer or Yochk'o Seffer. That percussion is really getting prominent, really kind of on the top of everything, and it's like the clearest instrument in the mix too. The Fender is complementing that percussion quite well. You can barely, it just kind of creates kind of this glow behind the, each of its notes are being eclipsed by their percussive hits. Um, and let's see, we have some keyboards are played by Jean-Louis Bucci, who put out, who was part of that double album I was telling you about, and who put out an album of his own, Sunflower, in 1978. Yeah. Yeah, and that keyboardist, he was in Speed Limit too. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of tie-in with just about all these guys were in Speed Limit. Yeah, that put out two albums, 1974, 75. And the keyboards are getting a little bit more prominent. I'm hearing some different sounds there. And yeah, all being handled by the guy I mentioned already, Louis Bucci. We have a synthesizer player, but he only appears on one track, and it isn't this one. It's worth noting that another percussionist is also credited, Tiboom, who has performed under the alias Pierre Guignon. And he tends to record under that name actually. But anyway, he appeared on the second album by Zeuhl, Osiris. How this is just kind of like sliding along in this sort of like inebriated, dark, tunnel of like thick bass and that billowing sax. Yeah, I love the conjures the imagery, well, like darkness and smoke amid the like distant light. I love those long fade outs that have all that little detail, little sparkly here, and sounds thrown in there. Just one of the players throwing in just that last mind-boggling, dazzling solo, just trying to get it, make those fading notes unique somehow. Yeah, Funky Daddy by George Jinda from his 1975 album, The Wheel of Love, recorded with veritable cast of players on the Zeuhl and French jazz rock scene. Let's hear another track from the album. Goodbye, Louis.
1, 2, 3, 4.
try something here. There. Okay, I love the sounds that are like layering on top, like that. Yeah, it's a guitar, kind of like a warm, fuzzy sound. Just. What is that sound effect it's using? The way it almost kind of like frep in a way. Yeah. Do you hear that high note the way it. Okay, and this track is definitely being taken away by Pascal Bournet, the guitarist. Yeah, giving us these warm, fuzzy licks, just tensing up, like holding notes, 1 minute, and then like really giving us some filigree the next. All with that like oozing, simmering fuzz tone that's like so sensitive and yet so like full of sizzle. And amid that like really kind of dark bass, that's basically walking around. A monochordal groove in C. Yeah. There's a certain effect that's being employed on it that at times almost kind of meshed with some of those keyboard sounds in a way. Like early on, I was having a hard time like making out what exactly is playing over that bass line. Even though, despite the sonic limitations, I really like how this all sounds. It's like we have the guitar that almost sounds like it's in an adjacent room. We have this like really loud bass that nonetheless sounds like there's like a blanket over the mic, or there's kind of like a barrier around it or something. It's slightly muffled, and there's just like this remoteness to it all. It's almost like you're not quite in the same room as any of this music. It's kind of like lurking around corners or someplace where you can't quite see where it's coming from. Okay, now that's the sound that really threw me at first. I couldn't quite make out what that was. It's obviously just like a Fender with some kind of effect on it, some kind of echoey. I can just totally see the Super 8 footage of like hazy spherical objects with like luminous color just kind of turned into sort of a library atmospheric piece. It could also be like, color reflected on raindrops in Super 8. Yeah, the Fender Rhodes is beautiful now as it ever was. With that kind of like vibe-like tonal setting. Yeah, very just pure atmospheric instrument. Yeah, it sounds so vintage today. It just takes you back to another time and place. It takes you to a world of Super 8, dreamlike footage, and it's almost as if they knew it back then. I just appreciate so much that they knew the effect and the power of it back then, and they used it to the max, and they left so many of these records as documents of that magical, mystical time. Yeah, that was Goodbye Louise by George Jinda, and before that Funky Daddy, both tracks from his 1975 Zeuhl jazz rock release, The Wheel of Love, released on Les Disques Motors and never reissued. So just passing around from Needle Drop. Yeah. For more Rubies and Sapphires from this album anyway, see the directory of albums by artists from the former Eastern Bloc, like Hungary, Poland, Czechoslovakia, the former Yugoslavia, Romania. I filed this there because he's Hungarian, even though this was recorded in France with French musicians, Anyway, like and subscribe, follow me on social media, share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two tracks we just heard. The layers, the interplay, the harmonics, the sounds, the tones, Who had the best solo, which instrumentalist was the most impressive. I think each of the tracks kind of emphasized different people. I think in the first track it was like percussion and saxophone, and in the second track it was very much like Fender and guitar, Anyway, like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and anyway, until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air travel Trimax Must, signing off.